Maximum News is a political satire podcast. The views expressed by the hosts or guests do not necessarily represent the views of the network or our sponsors. Also, it's very hard to talk about people like Ted Cruz without saying lots and lots of swear words. So maybe don't listen with the small little children persons. There's that sweet sustained note. That's the one that lets you know it's time for Maximum News. My name is Michael Zampino.
I'm TJ Clark.
Holy shit. We took a week off.
Yeah, man.
And
the world fell apart.
Alvin Bragg really put the pedal to the metal and told us that this week's going to be fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Trump came to Tulsa. Woohoo! We have the president back in town again at the BOK Center. My favorite response to the story was someone's comment that says, "At least now he'll get to see what the BOK Center looks like with a crowd," which is objectively hilarious.
That's great. Yeah.
And mine was, maybe this time he'll get COVID.
Oh yeah,
because
Cain, baby.
Killed Herman Cain,
Yeah.
brought him to Tulsa, and he
Yeah.
got killed by COVID.
I'm sure it was bittersweet for him coming back here. I'm sure he had some moments.
Oh, sure.
Quiet Trump moments.
I also wrote that it's funny that that Trump is in town for what he had to have at one point been disappointed to realize is the boring kind of wrestling.
Like, when's that kid grab a steel chair?
Yeah, he's like, when's The Rock coming out? Where's Vince? Where's my good buddy Vince McMahon, whose wife I put in my cabinet? Yep, that's right. The wife of the owner of the World Wrestling Entertainment, who has their own movie studio, who has all this, was the head of small business.
That sounds right.
Yeah, she was
Makes sense.
hilarious.
Yeah, that dude did not have any shame about just putting whoever the fuck you want in a position.
Oh, for sure. I get the best people. I know the best people. They're the best. They're so good. Essentially, for what you really want them to do, which is dismantling small businesses to funnel all the money up. Yeah, they're good at that.
But just like the guy he put in charge of the EPA here, like an oil dude, like, hey, protect the environment.
Absolutely. The guy who is... What is it? DeJoy, the guy who's destroying the postal service.
The postal service, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's still pretty fucked up.
yeah, it is. I think isn't he still there somehow, or did they just get rid of him?
Yeah, I forget. After the election,
I don't know. Either he was
forgot about the post office again.
Yeah, right. We were like, okay, first things first. We're like one thing at a time. Fuck.
All right, we saved democracy. Now we'll see you.
We temporarily saved democracy. Now let's get an infrastructure bill. At least we got the infrastructure bill.
Yeah.
Which I will say, there was a story recently, and I don't know if we touched on it last week or on our last episode, but there was a local picture going around of a bridge on 21st and Harvard, I believe, or in between Harvard and Lewis.
21st and Harvard, I think,
and the Broken Arrow, which is right by me, and I drive over and under that thing all the time. And someone's comment was, "Oh, LOL, we can spend $100 and whatever billion in Ukraine, but we can't fix the bridges here." And my response was, first of all, we literally just got the money from the infrastructure bill.
Yeah.
We just got it, 85 million, whatever that was allocated to us.
Yeah.
We just fucking got it. Also, we can do both.
Yeah.
That was
It's not like it all comes from the same pot. We're going to need to fix this bridge in Tulsa, or should we send Ukraine some more missiles?
Exactly. It's not a choice of one or. It's such a stupid thing. But yeah, that bill, I think, if all that money is properly allocated, is going to actually, we will see some visible changes for good.
We need it.
No shit, right? And remember how much Trump railed on infrastructure for so fucking long? Most of his fucking campaign and Clinton presidency was about, the crumbling infrastructure, crumbling infrastructure. But what did you do for it? Fucking nothing. Nothing. We deregulated the banks. Yeah, so that and you know, obviously we're gonna get to the bigger stuff, but I mean, you had a bank full of venture capitalists go under, and basically because of the gross deregulation that allowed their CEOs to, I'm just learning the intricacies of
totally.
Intricacies of this.
I'm a big old dummy about
but my wife's helping me understand. She actually
same.
did a really good job of explaining earlier about how banks have to keep their risks and securities separate, and how the regulations made it to where they didn't have to do that, under a certain amount of money. And so basically it allowed these CEOs to profit from very short-term things that would essentially implode the bank, but it allowed them to pocket a shit ton of money in the short term, and essentially by sabotaging their own fucking companies. And that should be
rich
illegal.
People shit,
yeah, for sure. But now you've got my favorite thing though is that now you've got the right-wing branch of media and the House and whoever really is attempting to blame the collapse of this bank on them investing in DEI, diversity, diversity in what bank?
Woke bank.
Oh yeah. Woke banks. Yeah, exactly. Woke banking. You know how banks are classically woke.
Yeah. I wish my bank was woke. I wish my card was like, no, I'm not letting you get any Chick-fil-A today. No.
Yeah, right? That'd be great if your bank.
A woke bank. It's like, it knows where the money comes from. It's like, nope, I can't let you spend your money here.
Yeah, that's a woke bank. That's a bank I can get.
I want that bank, actually.
No shit, right?
Can I opt into that feature?
Yeah, that'd be great. Like the vote with your wallet feature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's start a bank.
Let's do it, man.
I mean, it seems at least like we can make money short term. Anyways, I don't know enough.
There's probably hardly any laws about it, right?
I don't know enough about banking personally, but I do know that I do know that training one's staff on diversity, equity and inclusion, right? That's DEI, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion. I don't think that is what led to the near criminal behavior of not having a CFO for a good chunk of time. Their risk they had 6 months where they had let go their risk analysis or whatever the term is for the position.
Sounds about right.
But the person in charge of analyzing their risks, and then they didn't have one for 6 straight months. They just didn't hire one.
Seems intentional.
Yeah, that's super woke.
Yeah.
But anyway, of course, the main story this week is, of course, the district attorney in Manhattan, Alvin Bragg. He did not outright come and say that that indictments were coming, but Donald Trump, in classic Trump form, in an attempt to blow up the narrative and sort of scoop himself, came out on Great Value Twitter and said that he will be arrested on Tuesday, which, as you're hearing this, will be tomorrow if you're hearing this day of, and I got to give it to him. It is a smart strategic move on his, from what he's trying to get out of it, as far as like why he would come out and say, I'm going to be arrested before the DA comes out and says it. And that is, the classic getting ahead of the narrative. And, but this time he's coming out and straight up calling for protests.
Wow.
And there's a lot he said, everybody come out and protest to save our nation or something like that.
Because he's getting arrested.
Yeah, and of course, there's everybody's speculating on what he means by that, and you know what I mean. What do you think that he's hoping to gain from calling for protests and quote save our nation?
I don't know. Maybe what he's had success with before. Let me look to the calendar and see what date I have where this was a successful plan.
So what I said is, somebody was like, oh, they're hoping that Trump is hoping that they'll interfere with the process.
Yeah.
And I said, I think more specifically, Trump is the type of dude where he's literally picturing a bunch of hillbillies strapping chains to the side or to the bars of the window and pulling the wall down of the jail and busting him out like cartoon style. Like, that's what I think he's hoping for, is like, I'm going to get arrested and they're going to straight up march in there and bust me out and carry me out on their shoulders.
What if they do though?
Rudy.
Like what if they do? How do you run for president?
I mean, if they really do that, then a lot of dumb hillbillies are going to get shot, and then the Back the Blues really going to be in a lot of trouble then, because they're going to have a lot of choices to be made.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a different person in charge of the military right now and the federal government, considering that in preparation for this and the way we kind of knew this was coming, even before Trump scooped it, was that there has been calls for a lot of heightened security in New York for this coming week, including up to the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force has been asked to be on heightened alert for New York for this week, which, if you're not reading in between the lines of what that means, the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force means domestic terrorism.
Totally.
Is what they are foreseeing as a possibility. The possibility of domestic terrorism is when you bring in the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force to New York for a potential state charge. You know what I mean? And then
It's intense, dude.
Yeah. Why do you think that, if you were to guess why this is finally coming from District Attorney Alvin Bragg as opposed to Merrick Garland or the federal Justice Department? Because I have a theory, but I don't know how far it goes or how,
Because this is which case specifically?
So this is for the hush money case.
Okay, that's what I
yes,
thought,
this is the hush money case with Stormy Daniels, which I'll just tell you, my theory is, okay, so Merrick Garland's had this info for a long time, and historically, we know that Alvin Bragg has had this for a long time because two people under Alvin Bragg at one point resigned in protest because he hadn't yet brought charges for this shit.
Yeah.
Which begs the question, why now? But at the same time, there's been a lot of questions of why him as opposed to Merrick Garland.
Yeah.
My theory is that Merrick Garland knows that should somehow Trump wind up back in the presidency, that state charges are not subject to federal pardons.
Oh, nice.
So he couldn't, in theory, pardon himself or another Republican president. If even say he didn't get it, say he does get thrown in jail, Ron DeSantis wins the presidency, God forbid.
Yeah.
And then he could not pardon him.
Yeah.
In theory, a governor could, but then you would have to have that, which if he was indicted in Florida for the Mar-a-Lago case.
How interesting that would be.
But here's the other thing, too, is that now so let's say Trump's indicted on Tuesday, but he's in Mar-a-Lago, right? Mm-hmm. Who's in charge of the extradition process from Florida to New York?
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
So, we're already going to be in like, what's he going to do? He's been fucking attacking him and calling him Meatball Ron and Ron DeSanctus. Which he shortened DeSanctimonious to DeSanctus, and it's really stupid. DeSanctus means nothing. That means nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what happens whenever he needs to be extradited from Florida?
Maybe he's still in Oklahoma. Maybe he's actually hiding in
is
Oklahoma
that
still.
why DeSantis has been like not saying shit against Trump this whole time? Is because he's like, oh, the second he gets indicted, I'm going to boot his ass to New York so fucking fast.
Do you think he will, though? If he's trying to woo Trump supporters, so I think he wants Trump to
That's why I
fuck
think
up on
it's a
his
tough
own.
deal. I think it's like,
which is the same thing I think Merrick Garland, I think
there's an argument to be made on whether it helps or hurts him in a presidential candidacy. Because it's like, what if it actually, takes Trump out of the running and then he can't run. But then if it doesn't and you just turned all of his voters against you, you're pretty much fucked.
If you're DeSantis, you have to win over some Trump voters, and you have to hope that Trump becomes ineligible to run, and then his voters just have to vote for you.
Right.
I guess.
But then again, DeSantis, for his shit voice, his fucking super cringy voice and everything that's wrong with him, I do think that he's at least smart and savvy enough to know that if he does fight extradition for Trump, that the federal government is not going to take kindly to that, and that I don't know what, as far as the legalities of a governor acting in defiance of something like that, I don't know how that works. On the inside, but it feels like there's. I was going to say, it feels like there's some steps that the government would be able to take to say, "Hey, man, you're harboring a fucking a fugitive of justice."
Yeah. And it'll be real interesting to find out.
I know.
This shit has never
I'm
gone down
very
before.
excited for this week.
And I think and it might be smart that New York is handling it, because I think my theory about Merrick Garland not being as involved, or New York doing it first, is just because of everyone, all the conservative criticism, of course, is that the Justice Department is politicized and weaponized. Yeah. So I think Garland is just trying to stay back as much as possible. And if maybe let New York test the waters.
Yeah.
I did hear strategically it's bad that the Stormy Daniels one is the first one that's going up,
I do kind of wish that Fani Willis would have gotten hers out first in Georgia.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a much bigger issue, but at the same time, I think we're delving into those waters where you're dealing with a group of people that not necessarily aren't capable, but aren't willing to be or to use rational thought around most of these things. So I don't know that it matters to the Trump base which indictment came where, because for them, the weaponization of the federal government, they don't see the difference between that and Alvin Bragg and Fani Willis. They think that is also the federal government weaponizing the Justice Department.
Biden and Democrats.
Right.
Yeah.
That's Biden telling these people to go after Trump. It's George Soros funding, which I'm pretty sure that in his Great Value tweet that Trump said something about George Soros funding the whole fucking thing. Jesus Christ.
I can't believe they're using the same talking points, the same boogeyman as before.
Right.
As they have for years.
I mean, George Soros is such a reach at this point.
Yeah. Is he still alive?
I believe he's still with us, but what are they going to do when he passes on? Or
Hillary, they're still going to, I'm surprised we don't have Hillary's name still.
Yeah, no joke, right? I was going to look up.
She hasn't held office in a decade.
Yeah, they'll still bring her up though.
Yeah.
Oh man, they're real they're real bummed out that they're not talking about Hunter's laptop as much right now. Oh God, let's see. So we got the calls for protest. Trump's lawyer went on Ari Melber and had a very interesting conversation. Listen to me. If Trump, and I think I've mentioned it once before on this show, Trump going after the most Italian, the most greasy Italian stereotype lawyers possible. This guy, Tacopino is his name, I believe. First of all, the man, look, I know I talk with my hands a lot, right? But there's talking with your hands, and then there's touching people and grabbing things. At one point, Ari brings up the fact that Trump denied knowing about the payment to Stormy Daniels. And it goes to the famous clip of him on Air Force One, and the reporter asks, "Did you know about the $130 payment to Stormy Daniels from Michael Cohen?" He says no, outright no, I did not know about that.
Yeah.
We now know that he absolutely did know about it because he signed the check. He, reimbursed him. He knew about it. We know he knew about it. It's now proven, right?
Yeah.
And Ari's like, that's a lie. And Trump's lawyer says, that's not a lie. A lie is something tangible in court. And he's like, I didn't say perjury. I said a lie. And he said, well, here's the thing. Trump has a confidentiality agreement around that case. So he can't admit knowing about it. denying knowing about it, spoiler alert, is just as concrete. Okay, that's just as definitive an answer as yes. Yes, you are making a definitive statement about knowing about it one way or the other. So that's
a lawyer.
Yes. So, but while he's saying that it's not a crime, Ari brings up the piece of paper and goes, or he says, "Not a lie." He goes, "It's not a lie." He pulls up the piece of paper and he goes, "He's asked," and the guy reaches across the table, tries to grab the paper out of Ari's hands and say, "We don't need that. We don't need that."
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you don't want him to read from the actual quote because you're trying to. Look, all I gotta say is that if what that man said on Ari Melber is 1 ounce of what they're going to attempt to use as a defense in court, Trump is fucked. Like, it was bad. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm pretty sure Ari Melber is a lawyer or was a lawyer. Like, I think he's I think he's a law person, comes from law. But yeah, he basically like tore this guy apart with his bullshit argument. And when I say tore him apart, I mean that in the way that someone who's actually gotten Trump's lawyer to come on their show would, in that, you know, he wasn't as hard on him as he could have been.
Sure.
But you know, you ride that line of you never get somebody ever to come back if you're too tough on him.
Yeah.
You know, which is that thing with like Jon Stewart's interviews where I'm like, when are they going to stop giving him the interviews because they know he's not going to lob them softballs and shit.
Yeah.
You know. But thank God he's still getting the interviews. He just had a great one with, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was from the Fed, talking about inflation and causes of inflation and shit like that, and just really dispelling the myth of you know, inflation. Like, he was basically comparing talking about, or the guy was trying to blame the current inflation on the stimulus payments to the American people and stuff like that. Yeah. And Jon Stewart brought up a lot of facts about the comparison of the recovery from the 2008 financial crisis versus the COVID financial crisis. And it was markedly different because during one, you know, they just fixed the banks and whatever and just gave them money, and then in the other one they gave the American people money, and that stimulated the economy, and all the job loss went right back up, and you know, it was, and anyways, it basically boiled down to this guy was like, well, I mean, you know, no, we can't raise wages to fix inflation. Anyways. But at some point, those guys are going to stop coming on the show. So I think that's why, you know, they're not as tough as they can be. Yeah. But yeah, if that's the attempted defense,
oh man,
is basically saying like, yes, he lied, but he had to lie because of a confidentiality agreement.
Yeah, yeah. It's like saying he's a secret spy, so he can't.
Right. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. It's like, okay, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure that if you're bound by a confidentiality agreement to not comment on something, that the proper response isn't to lie and say, no, I'm forced to lie. I can't say yes, but I can say no. Yeah, it's a no comment, or I'm not able to speak on that at this time. I'm not able to comment on that at this time. Or, just no comment. But no is just as definitive an answer, man. Like, and that's where I'm like, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure any judge is going to be like, nobody. Sorry, that's not going to hold up here.
Maybe that's why they're going on with it. Maybe it's just like, this thing is open and shut. This is going to be the easiest case.
I mean,
but probably not.
Well, and this guy is just, I feel like an example of the bottom of the barrel that Trump's having to scrape to get lawyers willing to fucking defend him.
Yeah.
And even this guy who, like, again, makes me fucking super embarrassed to be Italian. Like, even this scumbag is like, when Ari asked him, would you defend Donald Trump in the January 6th trial? Like, boy, it was real hard for him to say yes. He was basically like, well, it depends on the charge. Which is basically him being like, fuck no, probably not. Yeah. He's like, I'll defend this hush money payment because it's basically it's not quite a misdemeanor, but it ain't fucking overturning the American democracy.
Yeah.
Oh, vey, these idiots. Well,
to be a defense attorney in New York, knowing you're probably going to be working with Trump soon?
I mean, eventually you think he's going to be down to like public defenders because there's no like, there's going to be nobody that you could hire that's going to willingly take the
It's
job.
going to be like some 23-year-old.
It's going to be somebody that is forced to take the case
Yeah.
because nobody else will do it
Sweating.
willingly. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
going to. And there was something we watched. Becky and I were watching it was like a 2020 era Dateline, and this chick's attorney. I still did not get a definitive answer as to why this happened, but this defense attorney gave no opening statement, right? No opening statement, which is fucking unheard of. It is unheard of to give no opening statement.
Let's just get right into this.
Yeah, he just nothing. It was nope, Your Honor, I'm waiving opening statement.
Let's just get this
Right?
shit over with.
Then the prosecution lays out their case for whatever, a day or two, however many days. Then it comes to the defense's time to raise their defense. The defense rests, Your Honor. No witnesses, no crossing, nothing, right?
Damn.
I feel like if you get forced to take that case, that is your only
Yeah.
avenue.
Just
It's just
get
like
it over with.
I'm not going to say I'm here to represent this client, but I'm not going to give him a vigorous defense.
Yeah. Like, no, we're.
No, in reality,
That's all we
I mean
got.
that's just all Becky and I thought was wow. They just gave that lady an ineffective assistance of counsel defense to
Yeah.
get a new trial. So
Which I wonder
you
if-
definitely can't do that. So
Yeah.
you have to actually attempt to defend your client. I'm pretty sure you are not allowed
Maybe
to
that is
not
Trump's final
try.
defense when he goes down. He's going to be like, "Oh, this guy didn't represent me."
Ineffective assistance of counsel. It's hard to prove that though. There's a pretty high bar you have to meet. Like
Yeah.
you have to really, really prove that they did not. You can't just be like,
sending all your
you can't
text
just be like,
messages to
I
the-
lost, therefore it was ineffective assistance.
Yeah.
He
You
didn't.
suck. I
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah. I'm
isn't
sure that
fair.
in Trump's mind, that's all it would take for
Yeah.
him. But then, a lawyer is going to be like, no.
You're fired. Retry me again.
Yeah, do it again. Fuck. This is going to be so insane.
Yeah.
I'm so interested, and I'm very interested, obviously, to see. There is the chance that Trump will willingly give himself up, which is what he almost made it sound like.
Yeah.
In his thing, but at the same time, the questions arising about what if he's in Florida? Does he bring himself to New York, or does he fight it? I'm very
Make him work
interested
for
to
it.
see what will happen day of. You know what I mean? Because he Great Value tweeted that he's going to be arrested the other day, which makes it sound like maybe he's going in willingly. But
Yeah.
whether he feels that way day of, this is an impulsive motherfucker.
I was gonna say, do you think we probably won't see him in handcuffs?
Not unless he fights it. If he gives himself up, there's no chance that we see him in handcuffs.
Yeah, not at
we
all.
might still get a mugshot potentially because he will be processed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the chances of them actually putting physical handcuffs on him is pretty slim, I feel like.
Will that won't be the first presidential mugshot? Surely there's been other presidents who had mugshots, right?
I am almost positive that it will be the first presidential mugshot. I believe if any president
Like after
has,
they were president?
I was going to say, I believe if a president may have a mugshot, it's from before they were president.
W. Bush had a few DUIs, probably. I don't mean to laugh at that, but that's right. Wasn't he? Didn't he have like a few?
See, I don't know if he ever had to get a mugshot taken because
true,
his
yeah.
dad was the fucking governor.
That's true.
Oh man, I really wanted to look up presidential mugshots.
That's my new Twitter account, by the way.
Presidential mugshots.
Presidential mugshots.
Senator Mark Wayne
It's going to
Mullen.
be the same one
God,
of Trump
that-
every day.
That makes me want to puke every time I say it. Senator.
Oh, I know.
Mark Wayne
I
Mullen.
know. I forget.
He is a United States, not a state senator,
United States.
not a House of Representatives, a Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. Last week while we were off, he got into it with the head of a union. Sean O'Brien was his name, the head of the Teamsters.
International Brotherhood of Teamsters.
Yeah. They got into it. Let's just play a little bit of this exchange and then we'll talk about it.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Ranking Member. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And I want to make it very clear, I'm not against unions. I'm not at all. Some of my very good friends work for unions.
Some of my very
they
good
work
friends
hard
work
and they do a good job. And so my statements, please don't make an assumption that I'm anti-union, but I also want to set the record straight. All three of you guys have talked about employers being intimidating their employees, but you guys haven't ever spoke about when the unions try to unionize, the intimidation they have to other people that aren't wanting to unionize. You guys don't mention that because, see, I started with nothing, absolutely nothing. In fact, I started below nothing. And I started growing this little plumbing company with 6 employees to now we have over 300 employees. And back in 2009, you guys tried to unionize me. My guys were making money. They were getting paid more than the union halls were paying their plumbers. Our benefits were better. But because we started bidding jobs that were union jobs and winning those, union pipe fitters decided they were going to come after us. They would show up at my house. They'd be leaning up against my trucks. I'm not afraid of a physical confrontation. In fact, sometimes I look forward to it.
He loves talking about how he can
That's
fight.
not my problem. But when you're doing that to my employees, and then when that didn't work, they started picketing our job site, saying, shame on Mullen. Shame on Mullen.
Yeah.
For what?
For not letting your employees
what?
unionize, you piece of
Because
shit.
we were paying higher wages?
You weren't, though.
Because we had better benefits and we wasn't requiring them to pay your guys' absorbent
Weren't.
salaries? You talk about CEOs
fucking senator.
that are making all this money, and what do you make, Mr. O'Brien?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question.
Yeah, I know
Senator.
what you make, because in 2019, your salary was, what is this, $193,000? I'm sure you got some pay raises since then.
Yeah, when I was a
And the
ranking-
average UPS driver, the feeder driver, makes $35,000 a year.
That's
and
inac-
what do you bring?
That's
to the table?
inaccurate.
Hold on a second.
That's inaccurate. State
No, I've got
facts.
it right here.
State facts. That's
The
inaccurate.
average UPS feeder driver makes $35,000. If you don't know your facts, then maybe you should.
Oh,
be in
I know
your
them because I
position.
negotiate the
So
contract.
I say one thing to you. What do you bring for that salary?
What do I bring?
Yeah. What job have you committed, or have you started? What job have you created? One job, other than sucking the paycheck out of somebody else that you want to say that you're trying to provide because you're forcing them to pay dues. And
No,
then-
we don't force
Hold
anybody
on.
Senator, you've asked the
You're out of
question.
line,
Let him
man.
answer
Actually,
the
I haven't,
question.
and don't tell me I'm out
You
of
are
line.
in line.
Don't tell me I'm out of line.
Well, you frame.
Don't tell me.
You
I'm
frame.
making a
You
statement.
frame. You frame the statement
You need
like
to
a
shut
tough
your
guy.
mouth
Yeah.
because you don't know
You're
what
gonna
you're
tell me to
talking
shut my
about.
mouth?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
Hold it.
Yeah.
Hold it.
Yes,
Tough guy. I'm not
Senator.
afraid of physical.
Senator,
You don't have
hold
to be,
it.
but don't sit there and tell me I'm out of line.
I love it. I wish Bernie Sanders
I
would have
didn't
been
ask
like,
the question.
You did it.
you know what? Go up there and whoop his
Ask
ass.
the question.
Well, it was rhetorical.
Let him answer.
It was a rhetorical.
Well,
It was
you may think
rhetorical.
it's rhetorical.
It was
Sounded to me
rhetorical.
like a question. Let him answer the question.
I'm not yielding my time to him. So if you're going to let me keep my time, that's fine.
You'll have your time. Let him. You ask
your
a question. He has
So-
a right to answer that.
As far as my salary goes, my salary, if you follow me around, I actually look at this building. I bet you I work more hours than you do. Twice
That's-
as many hours.
that's impossible, but-
no, that's true.
Sir, you don't even know what hard work is. You wanna follow my schedule,
Secondly, I'll do it in a
follow.
minute. Secondly,
do it in a
UPS
minute.
feeder drivers, and you can quote Carol Tomei, who quoted this. They make $93,000 on the lower end. Some of them
said
making
feeder drivers.
$150,000.
I said feeder drivers.
Feeder drivers, tractor trailer drivers. Some of them making $150,000 per year.
Some of them do.
And
I don't
most of them
disagree
make-
with that.
most of them
After
make
you've been
over-
there
most
four-
of them-
after you've been there 4 years.
Most of them make over $1,000.
Okay.
Most of them make over $100,000.
So reclaiming my time, I go back to the whole fact that, sir, you haven't created a job.
We haven't.
You haven't been there. You haven't.
All right, let's pause this
You haven't.
because
me one
let's
job
get
that
into
you
a couple
created.
of the things. Okay, so first of all, Mullen says he started with less than nothing.
Less than nothing, yeah.
He inherited the company from his father at 20. He took over the company from his father at 20.
That's less
So
than nothing.
less than nothing.
Yeah, a whole ass business.
Definitely less than nothing. And then at one point, he claims later in the interview, he asked Mullen what his salary was, or what he's claiming his salary was.
Yeah.
And Mark Wayne Mullen claims that he only brings in $50,000. That he only paid himself a salary of $50,000 because he, quote, put every penny back into his business. Even though his financial disclosures say that his salary was nearly $92,000 in 2012, the year he was first elected to Congress. He has claimed over $200,000 in his salary. Let's see. Yes, he reported between $200,000 and $2 million in income in 2012 from two family companies, Mullen Plumbing Incorporated and Mullen Plumbing West, and another $15,000 to $50,000 from shares he held in a bank. In 2011, he also made well over $50,000 when his base salary was over $77,000, and his other income from the same two businesses was still well over $200,000. So this guy's a multi-million-dollar turd monger, and he's up here bitching about unions because he fucking knows he's not paying his people what they're worth.
Yeah.
He knows that he's doing all of these things to avoid having to do that because that makes him more money. And his whole fucking persona, and I hope that if you were listening to that among the things that you take away from it is the amount of under preparedness, the lack of knowledge within his own statements that's audible in the way that he speaks, the words he chooses to use. They let you know that he doesn't really know enough about what he's saying to make this argument.
Totally.
He's just throwing out bullet points that were fed to him by, whoever.
And it's an area he should honestly know it. Like, he should know unions and dealing with unions, and he shouldn't have to throw out random bullshit numbers if he has a real argument about it.
Exactly. If there's a genuine argument of why it's bad, then you should be throwing that out. But it's instead
he's literally
it's
the
usual,
reason why unions exist. He's a boss. He's the owner of a company.
Owner of a company, and every time I see,
you're not for unions.
Every time I see a Mullen Plumbing van in town, all I want to do is like give him the roll down the window motion and be like, "Sorry, your boss sucks shit." Pun intended. But this guy, and especially, like you said, the how quick he is to talk about how he likes to fight or how he knows how to fight.
Always.
Like, that is just typical little man syndrome. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that
Anytime
cocky.
he talks about how he fights, I think about that picture of him hiding behind the pew.
Yeah, same. Yeah, same thing.
God, I love that picture.
Me too. But it's a classic. This macho fucking cowboy image of what it means to be a man means that you have to let people know that I could fight you. I could beat you in a fight. It's important.
I like it.
It's important that you know that I could beat you in a fight. Because I'm a man.
Mad enough, I'm gonna pull out my fists.
I'm a man in my 40s.
I don't
maybe
have the words,
50s.
but my fists do the talking.
Like, seriously, what inside of you is
Senator Fists.
Senator Mark Wayne
Mark Wayne Fists.
Mark Wayne Muskets. Jesus Christ. His dumb face.
I don't wear a tie. I don't wear a jacket.
Yeah, he's trying to pull the Jim Jordan, like, look at me, I'm too busy for a jacket. I'm too busy working.
You don't even roll your sleeves up, you fucking manager.
Yeah, roll your sleeves up so you can dig in the toilet and pull out those turds. God damn it. One thing we forgot to mention was the tweet from Kevin McCarthy, basically trying to dump more fuel on the fire for the potential violence in this upcoming week.
Kevin McCarthy tweeted on March 18th, "Here we go again, an outrageous abuse of power by a radical DA who lets violent criminals walk as he pursues political vengeance against President Trump. I'm directing relevant committees to immediately investigate if federal funds are being used to subvert our democracy by interfering in elections with politically motivated prosecutions."
So he's basically saying, I'm going to sick Jim Jordan's new weaponization committee after this investigation to go after the funding for the investigation, which is just fucking ridiculous.
Like-
because they're gonna somehow try and tie some sort of federal fund that goes to the state that then gets used by the district attorney's office for, I imagine it will be something as trivial as like the stationery that they're using is federally funded, and they're going to say that is the Biden administration funding political prosecutions of their enemies.
Yeah.
But Jesus fucking Christ, saying that this is abuse of power by a radical DA who had 2 people resign in protest
'cause he
because
wouldn't.
of him not bringing charges against Trump fast enough.
I never understand how conservatives have such a hard on for laws, but when our ex-president, like just like everyone knows the story, like they're mad because he's getting in trouble for paying off hush money.
They're just
mad,
mad,
it's so
they're
obvious.
just mad that he's being held accountable.
It's not like it's some bullshit thing that they like made up. Like everyone knows he did.
It's provable, yeah. Oh, my
And he's,
favorite
like,
was
mad
at
about,
my
but he's, like,
favorite
getting-
was the and I don't remember when it was, but when Trump like very briefly tried to say that like he never fucked Stormy Daniels because he like wasn't into her. Come on. Nobody's buying that, bro. Even your base isn't buying that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're the grabber by the pussy guy. You're saying
Yeah.
you didn't take the opportunity to fuck Stormy Daniels?
Yeah.
No way. No way that's true.
Yeah.
You fucking idiot. But anyways, Kevin McCarthy saying something like this is only putting fuel on the fire,
yeah.
and it is a move that can only be described. I mean, the only reason he's doing this that makes sense to me, because before him getting the speakership, he was a somewhat. He had some rational moments, like the moment when he actually did say that Trump was accountable for January 6th before he went down and kissed the ring.
Yeah.
Because he realized, oh shit, these people will murder
Oh,
me.
man.
So I think that this may be a tweet that's sort of under duress
Yeah.
because he is sort of being held hostage.
Oh, yeah.
It's his speakership by the Gates and the Boberts and the Greens.
Oh man.
You
Yeah.
know, those
This
are the
guy
ones
has
that are
lost.
basically controlling his speakership.
Yeah. This guy's nothing but a puppet now for sure.
Like it wouldn't be, it would not, if I would believe you if you told me that Matt Gaetz is running Kevin McCarthy's Twitter. That Kevin
like
McCarthy just gave
Yeah,
over his
that was
Twitter.
one of the concessions. He's like, we run.
You
your
just
Twitter
run my
account now.
yeah, you can run my Twitter account if you let me be speaker. Wow, what a coward. What a fucking coward.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else do we got?
Also makes Nancy Pelosi look just like a fucking badass in retrospect.
Every moment he is speaker, it shows how good she was at her job.
It really does. Like,
It
I think
really
we
does.
took her advantage, like,
Yeah, we took her for granted.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because now it's just like, wow. I think in January 6th, she really showed like those like footage that came out afterwards, we saw like that she was one of the only ones like,
And I
taking
didn't support
action.
everything Pelosi did. I'm not one of those
Yeah.
people that's like,
I
oh,
definitely see why she got on people.
but she did the job
Yeah.
incredibly efficiently,
Yeah,
whether you liked her or not. You cannot
And-
take away that she did the job well.
totally. And she didn't like suffer any fools like bullshit either, right? Like,
Yeah, she was like the Judge Judy of the. like,
yeah.
I mean, she
Little
wasn't that
sassy
sad.
claps
Like,
behind.
yeah,
That was still my favorite. Yeah.
She was much more passive aggressive than Judge Judy, but like, it had that energy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um,
Go
we
Nancy.
have more heads of Republican parties. State Republican parties are adding changing their Republican the chairs of
yeah.
their Republican parties. We now have Colorado, Michigan, and Kansas have all installed election deniers as their state Republican chairs. Which means that they're the people running the Republican Party campaign strategies and all that stuff within the state. And this morning on Meet the Press, I think Chuck Todd is a big softy on interviews, and I hate how he never holds people's feet to the fire.
Yeah.
But I will say that there's some segments where he does some good work as far as pointing out little things like he pointed out the statistical difference between election deniers and their effect on the primaries versus general election. And that in the primaries, election deniers had an overall throughout the country, an overall plus 2% advantage against their opponents if they were an election deniers. However, they had a negative 0.23% in a general election where it hurt them in a general election. So basically you've got more people like banking on somehow the election denialism becoming more mainstream and more popular. And it's just a real gamble at this point, you know, and then they broke it down like by race, and like Carrie Lake was obviously the closest where it was only 0.7%.
Wow.
It hurt her by 0.7%. But she only lost the race by like 3%. So in reality, like maybe not being an election denier would have won her the race. But then you got like Mastriano where the difference was like 14%.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, where like, yeah, Mastriano got smashed. Thank God, because he was a fucking nut.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy was insane. So yeah, anyways, ballsy moves by Colorado, Michigan, and Kansas at this point. By real, I mean, at this point, are you quadrupling down? Like, how many times have we like? All right, double or nothing. Here we go.
I can't believe still, and we're now about to like have another election. But you know, it's like
We're already in campaign season. Let's be real. Yeah, we're about to have another one.
It's like they have to sustain the lie because it's part of their campaign message.
I mean, at this point, it is insane to think of how you would, as a party, backtrack from all this.
Yeah,
you know, like how would you at any point now? You know that the lie's gone too deep. You can't just be like, okay, look, we fucked up. You know what I mean? Like
okay,
people have died. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can't just be like, whoopsie. You know, so there is a little part of me that's like, well, maybe they do fucking have to keep doing this at this point because it is the only option.
they're gonna admit.
What's the what's the alternative?
They're like, but Hunter's laptop. Like, yes,
I think maybe the alternative is you all turn on Trump at once, right?
Yeah.
And you go, sorry, we were just trying to trick him to get him in the trap. We were just trying to get him in the trap the whole time. The whole time, promise we were just, it was just a big ruse. It was a big 7-year ruse.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want him in handcuffs. Just for the poetry of it, because I remember the lock her up is such a such a chant,
I mean, even a mugshot's going to be satisfying.
yeah, true.
You know, even if they don't actually cuff him, but they get a mugshot.
Yeah.
If we get the chance to see him without makeup, it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth it just to share. I'm like, you know, those Twitter accounts where it's like the same photo of Kevin Bacon every day.
Yeah,
like
Danzig. There's one of Danzig.
yeah. I'm definitely gonna start one that'll be like Trump's mugshot every day.
Absolutely. I want it sent to my phone. I'm gonna like alerts to it.
Yeah. Every day at noon, you get that.
Yeah.
Get that lunchtime boost of confidence seeing Trump without makeup. Man. Yeah. And if you think that guy doesn't wear makeup, boy, oh boy.
He does come with his own orange jumpsuit though. He won't even have to wear one. He just
Look, when your cheeks and your ears are two very, very different shades, that's not natural. And it doesn't come from tanning either, because I don't know what you're putting over. Are you tanning with headphones on, with over the ear headphones on?
He's always wearing headphones.
And how did it cover your neck too?
He's always listening to Fox News.
How did it also cover your neck and under your chin? He's bad at putting makeup on, is what I'm saying.
is, yeah.
Blend, motherfucker, blend.
With a Mac counter, they'll help you with that.
Fucking watch a season of Queer Eye. Do yourself a favor. If you're gonna wear makeup,
literally
learn how to do it right.
Millions of tutorials
Right?
on YouTube.
One of my favorite things is, did you ever see that documentary that came out a few years back called The Swamp?
No.
Well, they followed around Matt Gaetz for a while, and one of my favorite things was the shot of him putting on all his makeup before he and credit where credit's due. Matt Gaetz in front of cameras, just very unabashedly. I'm about to go on camera, and so you got to put on some foundation and doing the whole thing.
to.
And boy, oh boy, if it's not the same motherfucker who's going to probably try and ban drag shows.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Are you allowed to wear makeup, Matt? Come on now.
Still wearing makeup?
You're what is it? You're presenting too feminine. That's one of the things in the rules, right? Is if you present too feminine, is if you're born male. You dumb
Stop wearing
motherfuckers.
makeup. They're all going to have shiny faces on TV. It's going to be great.
Look, like either own it or don't. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to be in a documentary where you're like, yeah, I go on camera a lot, so I put on makeup, then you know what I mean? Then own
Yeah.
it. Also, don't. I don't know, man. I'm so excited. Trump constantly looks like he has raccoon eyes from how bad he is at putting on his makeup.
Yeah.
Like he stops. He's so lazy about it. Like he puts makeup on like he's putting on a clown mask. Like skip the eyes,
Yeah.
skip the ears,
Like he's
skip
gonna be
under
putting
the
on some
chin.
silly sunglasses to cover up the rest of it.
Seriously, it basically looks like the scene in The Office where Dwight cuts the face off of the dummy and puts it on.
Yeah.
It's like that, but with makeup. It's so bad.
That's Trump's makeup tips.
Yeah. And last thing we'll touch on is the very much ceremonial, I guess, arrest warrant issued for Vladimir Putin by the International
yeah.
Criminal Court.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing to have out there in that it shows that there are large organizations, while they may not have they don't have arresting capabilities. They don't.
Yeah.
They're not. We don't even acknowledge like. If the International Criminal Courts issued a warrant for Donald Trump, the United States wouldn't recognize it.
Yeah.
In theory.
Yeah.
Although right now Biden would be like, get that motherfucker. but in theory, the
Florida, get in
United
line.
States, like we're not that different in that, it's not like it's just
Yeah.
Moscow being like, fuck you. But on the same token, it is still very much an organization that watches over potential war crimes, coming out and saying that
yeah.
this dude is committing war crimes consistently, and what they're
it's a good-
alleging is that they are taking Ukrainian children and taking them to Russia and basically giving them into forced adoptions and military training.
Yeah.
Like they're stealing
Absolutely.
these kids from Ukraine and trying to turn them into Russian soldiers, and that is crimes against humanity. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
I think
They said that I saw they stopped short of using genocide, but they said don't be surprised if you see like a genocide, whatever charge come down eventually.
look, these are all the things, the base like blueprints for genocide. These are all the things that happen as you work towards genocide.
Yeah.
So the idea that that's what Putin is working towards is absolutely plausible.
Yeah,
and at this point, it seems to be what his actual goal is.
Yeah.
Is to take Ukraine by completely wiping out its people.
Oh yeah, Looks like his goal.
And whatever's left, make them your soldiers and and it's disgusting. This is some shit that should not be happening in 2023.
No, yeah, it's like comic book supervillain shit.
This is World War II. This is like Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler attempt, Mussolini, Stalin shit.
Yeah,
It really
he's
is
going out hard, full villain. Yeah,
for real. He's going full Mussolini.
it is
you
good,
never
like-
go full
You
Mussolini.
never go full Mussolini. It does it's all PR, but it does kind of make it awkward for other countries. It's like, oh, you're still gonna do business with this fucking war criminal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely makes it tough for.
I just read that China is already President Xi is kind of pissed off at Putin because Putin is leaning into their friendship more than Xi wants to.
Yeah,
Like
because he
Russia-
needs
Yeah.
He's like, look, he's still fine with me, right?
Yeah.
We're still buddies.
Yeah, they just talked about having a meeting, and then next thing they know, Putin was announced as yeah, I'm going over there. We're gonna
Yep.
have a meeting.
Yep, me and my
they're
best friend.
Fuck, you're telling everybody? Don't tell
It's just
anybody.
Putin skipping down the hallway with oh, you're my best friend.
Yeah, knocking on China's door.
Yeah.
You getting
Ooh, you make $1 million, honey.
Yeah,
Ay, ay, ay.
it's also terrifying though.
Yeah, no, it's super fucking scary because, we obviously know that there's only so much more escalation before,
Yeah, they're knocking down our drones already.
yeah. Yeah, before there's all out war. And when you have all out war with someone as unstable as Vladimir Putin
Oh yeah,
with
He would
nuclear
rather-
capabilities.
Yeah, exactly. He'd rather go out in flames than lose.
Absolutely, yes. That's the problem with a Stalin, a Mussolini, a Hitler is that they are willing to burn the whole motherfucking thing down with him.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is the same fucking way, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
He's willing to let the whole fucking country burn in order to gain his own freedom. And that's
100%.
essentially what he's trying to do with this tweet calling for protests this week. Is another January 6th where he's like, I will, if you don't do what I want, I will burn this whole fucking place to the ground.
Yeah.
Yikes. We can't let it happen.
No.
Can't let it happen.
No.
But hopefully, I mean, here's the thing. I think the Gravy Seals are only so strong. The Meal Team 6, as they were called. There's been a lot of clever names. You know, as a heavy boy, I recognize it as funny, but I'm also like, let's try something different.
Yeah.
How about something about how they're hillbillies? But you know, I feel that yeah, there's a lot of those crazy rednecks with a lot of guns, but they're not the United States military. So you know, I feel like if there was an uprising, it would be hopefully quickly snuffed out.
Oh, absolutely will be.
You know, and
that's why I'm surprised
That
he's
being
like-
said, I want to clarify. Having said that, that is not me saying that it's fine if they uprise and try and murder people because it won't last very long because they're not as strong as the military. I do not want that at all. I'm saying that
They can still be
if there is
destructive.
something to look at is that you know, this will hopefully, if it does happen, if it does come to that, it will be something that is easily squashed out. Yeah, easily
Which
done.
it feels like
done
it will
with.
be. That's why it's weird that he would be leaning towards like riling people up again. Because if it happens again, if it just happens like mildly, like there's another like shitty resurrection that gets like brought down in half a day's time, like how does he like bounce back from another one? You know?
That's the thing, is that Trump is so disillusioned. His malignant narcissism is so deep that he, in his mind, he believes that there's 90 million people in this country that are going to come break him out of jail.
Yeah.
You know, and when only 200 show up, you know, he's going to claim it was 90 million and that just couldn't get through because George Soros funded the U.S. military.
Maybe coming back to Tulsa was good for him. Maybe he was reminded, like, oh, yes, sometimes only a few hundred people show up.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Like that person said, at least he gets to see the BOK Center with a crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it was a good reflective moment for him.
Damn. It's too bad he didn't get to see a more fun wrestling show right before he potentially goes to jail. He would have much rather been on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, boy. Well, did you have an album recommendation this week?
An album recommendation. I have been listening to lots of Parquet Courts, and there's one of the main songwriters from Parquet Courts is A Savage. He's got a solo album out that's a few years old now, and man, I've been playing that on repeat. It's just
Nice.
good, just kind of punky rock music, lots of melodies, and just cool little.
Okay.
There's a little dash of kind of little westerny. I mean, it's
You
this
said
kind of-
Parquet Courts?
Parquet Courts is the original band, like the band. They're great too,
Yeah.
and then A Savage
Oh,
is
okay.
the solo
Got
guy.
it, got it,
yeah.
got it.
And both are
Parquet
great.
Courts. I like that. It's a
Yeah.
basketball reference.
Yeah, nice.
Nice. I'm going old with mine. Becky and I just secured tickets to. Excuse me. I'm checking off one of my bucket list concerts this summer, and I'm going to see The Cure.
Fuck yeah, that's
I'm
great.
going to see The Cure.
My daughter's going. Kennedy's going to see it.
Nice. Where is she going?
Dallas.
Dallas. We're going the same.
Nice.
We're going to the same show. We'll look out for it.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. I'm so excited for that. The Cure's been one of my favorite bands for my entire life, pretty
Hell
much.
yeah.
And never gotten to see them live. I'm 41 years old. I'm finally getting to see The Cure. I feel like a little kid.
Yeah.
I'm that excited
No,
about it.
that's great.
So my recommendation, if I was going to pick out a Cure album, I'm going to go a little bit more obscure, not one of the more famous ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Head on the Door. The Head on
That's a
the
good
Door
one.
is such a good album.
Yeah.
It has one song in particular that kind of got a resurgence of popularity when the new It came out. 6 Different Ways.
Oh, yeah.
They used that song in that movie, and it kind of had a little bit of resurgence of popularity because it was just used really really well in that movie. It was a cool scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Head on the Door is such a good
That's a great
album. God, there's so many though. Pornography.
Yeah. Oh man, all those early albums, like they went on a solid run for like 2 decades. It was
Oh yeah,
great.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Even up to like Wild Mood Swings and Blood
Yeah.
Flowers.
Yeah.
So good. Can't wait. So yeah,
Yeah,
go
that's
listen
awesome,
to some
dude.
old Cure. Any of them. Pick
Also,
one.
like Robert Smith, just full chubby old white dude. Now it's great.
Love it. Love it. Doesn't
Yeah.
care. Still
Embrace
still
it,
spiking
baby.
that hair up. Still.
He's just like also like Morrissey's out here just being a piece of shit, and Robert Smith is just,
It's just
like,
still like, I'm going to show you every day why I'm better. I'm going to show you every day why
yeah,
I win.
every single day.
Every day why Morrissey sucks and I rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm going to make Ticketmaster give everybody some of their money back because I'm fucking cool.
Hell
Not
yeah.
like Morrissey.
He's like doing victory laps around Morrissey.
Yeah, Morrissey's not making Ticketmaster give people money back.
He can barely go to a concert. Cancel.
Exactly. Exactly. We're still waiting to see if we're getting $5 or $10, but we're getting a partial refund.
Nice.
But yeah, we're going to see The Cure. So very excited.
Hell yeah.
Other than that, keep aware, keep alert, keep watching everything. And boy, oh boy, fingers crossed you won't
Yeah.
need to, but
It's gonna be a week.
if you're out there this week and if you're in New York or any of the surrounding areas, be aware, be safe. Hopefully it won't come to anything, but goddamn if they're not trying.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next week. Maximum News is a production of OLA Ministries. All original music written, performed, and recorded by Kins.